What's good, folks? Welcome to another edition of the Cover One Film Room, the show that gives you the hows and the whys behind both the good and the bad of the Buffalo Bills. I'm one of your two hosts, Anthony Prohaska, joined as always by Eric Turner. And Eric,
Yes.
No jinx, but the streak continues for the Buffalo
Stacking
Bills.
dubs.
The stack and dubs, the sixth dub in a row for the Buffalo Bills to move to 9-2 on the year and defeating the Chiefs are their arch rival, right?
I would say they're at that point now. They're pretty much playing them as often as divisional opponents. So yeah, I'd say they're rivals.
Yeah, it's gotten to the Patriots Colts, the Brady Manning, Patriots Colts level in terms of just you win your division, you're playing that team every year, you see them in the playoffs. Yeah, the Buffalo Bills defeat their arch rival, the Kansas City Chiefs in Buffalo, another regular season victory for the Bills. Hopefully that can translate to the playoffs this year if they play each other again. And Eric, we are here to break down a multitude of pieces from that game, especially on the defensive side. Another strong performance from that Bills defense. A couple awards, but an overall good performance, especially when it comes to how they defended Patrick Mahomes, kind of kept him caged in a little bit. If you folks are looking for an extensive deep dive into many of the offensive pieces, Eric had that breakdown that came out on Monday. That breakdown came out extensive and detail filled as always. So we got a lot to unpack tonight. Some exciting stuff to talk about. We're live again for the second week in a row, which is fun. How you feeling? How's it going? Yeah, good.
Great, man. Great. Obviously a big win for Buffalo at home at Highmark against Mahomes, as you said. And I thought from the top down, both sides of the ball, I mean, even special teams for that matter, I thought they overall played a very good game. We're going to talk about a bunch of the stuff, as Anthony said, on the defensive side of the ball, how they defended Kelce, the different dime looks that they sent, which included spies at times, Bernard, Terrel Bernard, Dorian Williams at times. We're going to go over that on the defensive side. We are going to touch on a few things on the offensive side, mainly how they controlled the clock, how Allen did versus spies that the Chiefs, because that's what Spags loves to do against Josh too. It's not just the Bills with Mahomes. Spags typically likes to spy Josh as well. We're going to break down a couple of those plays. And then just Josh once again torching defenses when they play cover zero against him. And it was no different on Sunday against the Chiefs. So overall, great game. I like the offense, how they possessed the ball, kept it away from Mahomes. And you talked about, the Patriots versus Peyton Manning days, Brady Manning days. That was part of the formula for them too, right? Keeping Manning that offense off the field. Yep. And we saw a bunch of that when you're talking Bills Chiefs this past weekend. And I thought the Bills' ability to limit explosives. I know the Chiefs offense isn't, super explosive when you look at things or when you watch them on film. It doesn't look too flashy, doesn't look too explosive, especially if you're talking speed of their offense. But they have Patrick Mahomes, and a lot of times those explosive, much like Josh, come off of outside of structure plays. But the Bills did a great job of limiting the Chiefs to, I think, overall one explosive play on the day.
Yeah, and it was I think that Kareem Hunt run later in the second half, third quarter.
Yeah, where Bernard got pancaked.
Oh, Trey
Smith
out
the club on that play.
Trey Smith dropped him, and then Bernard tried to get up, and Smith dropped him and drove him into the ground again. That was so mean. Trey Smith was on another level from the moment the game started. A lot of extracurriturals after the play.
Mean. He's a mean guy.
He was not nice in this one. He was kind of a jerk. I don't want to swear here, but yeah, kind of a bit of a jerk. But they limited them. Had a chance for another explosive, but Xavier Worthy for the second time this year, not showing awareness towards the boundary. I forget what other game he should have had a touchdown on a deep one from Mahomes in the front pylon, going from left to right on the broadcast. Couldn't get his feet down, but worked out for the Bills. And yeah, they're continuing to string performances together on both sides of the ball. And Eric, starting a little bit on the offensive side, Josh Allen doing some things, the passing game doing some things, significant injuries at the wide receiver position in the weaponry. No Dalton Kincaid, no Keon Coleman. Cooper it played, but is, a little banged up potentially still. Curtis Samuel starting to get a little healthier. We saw Reggie Gilliam see more action this game than we have really seen prior. Quentin Morris getting some burns, Zach Davidson getting some burns, some 6 offensive lineman stuff. But the run game didn't really do tremendously for that week. Running back carries only. The Bills had a negative 0.16 EPA per rush, negative 3.01 overall rushing EPA, and only a 31.6 success rate with the running back carries. Allen made a significant difference, especially on scramble. 0.68 EPA per rush on scrambles, 3.39 EPA overall, and a 60% success rate. They struggled a little bit to kind of get the ground game going this week. And those EPA for running back carry numbers also include James Cook's 2 touchdown runs. So to see kind of where they were even with those tutties in there, disconcerting. But Allen made plays. Curtis Samuel looked good in this game. Shakir did Khalil Shakir things that we have come to expect at this point. And overall, they kind of found a way to kind of tweak some things. I really like what they did, kind of messing with the Chiefs' coverages and their match rules and rules with some switch releases and some stack releases and things. And overall, putting up 30 points on a good defense. The Chiefs are an objectively good defense. Got it done in this game, obviously, with some help from Josh Allen doing some Josh Allen things.
Right. And, this defense, watching film on them coming into this game, I said it last week. I thought this is the best iteration of the Spags defense. They just have so many moving pieces, and they are a lot more hybrid at times. They have some hybrid players now on defense. And you talked about, the Bills offense, and yeah, they were able to possess, nearly 10 minutes more of the ball than the Chiefs, which is very important, obviously, in the grand scheme of things. And they did it without a run game, and
which is crazy. Like you hear that, you would think, oh, well, they like grinded them into dust with the run, and it's like, nope, not at all.
Right. And they were able to still stick to that. Were they getting 4-6 yards a run? No, they were getting 1, 2, sometimes losing or no gains, but it still was chewing up the clock. And it's part of the reason why Josh saw the Bills offense had 15 third down situations, and they converted 60% of those, which
is amazing.
A handful of those were just QB keepers and, Josh QB sneaking it. But again, that is chewing up clock, even if they aren't gaining yards. And I thought Brady showed some fortitude when it came to that, because he easily could have just made Josh carry the load. But no, he didn't make him do that until the last couple of drives.
Yeah.
And so I think that paid off the end for the Bills offense. And again, it was very complimentary when we're talking, the defensive side of the ball as well. So it all worked. The game plan worked from our perspective. It looked like it worked rather well.
And it's nice to see that, we, not to tie into the playoff game again, but they had a good game plan against the Chiefs in the divisional round in the playoffs, especially from the offensive side. And even defensively, they just didn't have the horses defensively to kind of do what needed to be done in that game. But now you get some of those horses back. You have a healthy Rasul Douglas. You have a returning Christian Benford, and you've got Terrel Bernard playing. He didn't, play in this previous game, and just kind of seeing what they were able to do overall and holistically, but kind of starting with that offensive side against a good defense, against a guy like Spags, who was kind of, I don't know, he's almost turned into like a mythical figure, I feel like, in like football circles, for what he's able to do and how he's able to attack and go forward. It was really interesting to kind of see what they were able to do on that side of the ball against Spags and have some success without being able to work it on the ground like they have traditionally. Like we talked about how important game script is to them and running the football is, and they had some spurts in this one, but it really was a slog for the majority of the game.
Yeah. And that's why I think, like, only putting the pressure on Josh when it was needed, because Spags, the more opportunities you give him to create those exotic looks and pressures, sooner or later, those big plays were coming. And I thought for the most part, even the interception that Josh threw was kind of just a miscommunication and a last ditch effort by Josh. But I thought overall, he did a good job. So Anthony, let's dive into some of the offensive film real quick. Again, just a few clips of the offense. If you want a deeper dive, I did one on Monday. Check it out after the show. But let's take a look at a few of these plays. We're going to start off with.
Oh, real quick. Sorry, Eric. We got to pause. We're live again, so we have super chat possibilities now. You know the rules. We got to stop. So we got a super chat. Oh, we will click it. Sorry. I'll stop. You click. I'm out.
There you go. Go ahead.
We got a super chat there from Gage. Appreciate you being here. Thank you very much for joining us here live, and thank you for the super chat. Gage says, maybe a superficial question, but I'm curious. Do you think we opened up the playbook more than, the same as, or less than the Chiefs for this win? I actually think this is a fair question, Eric, with how much leading into this game, so many people talking about how Reed and Spags kind of keep some things in their back pocket for teams that, they potentially meet the playoffs later and not wanting to show everything. And then obviously a ton of Chiefs fans after the loss were, well, they didn't show stuff. They didn't want to use Travis Kelce. Yeah. All the copium. I love that phrase. All the copium that they had. So I think this is a fair question, given some of the narratives and conversation pieces that we've seen. Where do you kind of sit on this?
I think both teams play their game. I think when you look at the Bills offense, I saw all the same concepts we've seen. And honestly, how much can they open up the playbook with the injuries they have at some of the at wide receiver? So I think it was as expected. Most of the presentations were similar. I think it just matched up well with what the Chiefs did on defense. You talked about the motions, the shifts, and how it messed with some of their pattern matching. That was kind of expected going in. I mean, I did a breakdown on X a few days leading into the game, showing the different motions that have given that defense and some of the coverages they play issues. I think the playbook stuff on both sides, I think that's as AQ stated during the week, is a little overstated. And I mean, Anthony, Bills fans should know this. We went through it last year when, in a few of the losses that the Bills had. Oh, Dorsey or Brady are saving it for the playoffs. That's just us coping as fans, guys. And I think Chiefs fans just showed us that they're no different than the Bills fan base, because we did it last year and we did it the year before. Every fan base goes through this when they feel like their team didn't leave it all on the field.
I think that's a fair point. My bigger, and this one is, it's hard to quantify it and say if the Bills open it up more than, same, or less than the Chiefs. My big thought, you alluded to it, and Jason said it in the comments here. He said, we were without Kincaid, Brown, and Coleman. I felt that limit our playbook, if anything. I think that's the bigger piece. Again, you mentioned it briefly. Even if they did open it up completely in this game, right? What they could open up is vastly different in this game versus what they can do with Kincaid and Spencer Brown and Keon Coleman. And even if Curtis Samuel continues to get healthier going down the stretch, I think it's more that conversation of what they weren't able to get to or what they didn't want to use because they didn't have those guys potentially. Like, I think that
there weren't new concepts.
No, 100%.
When you say open the playbook, hey, were they showing new concepts they haven't shown? No. Some of the presentations were different, but they're all running the same stuff.
But they also do that every week. Like, we see different presentations of Smash Concept every single week and different things. Yeah, I think the larger conversation piece is, what does the Bills offense look like the next time they potentially play, if all these guys who didn't play in this matchup play the next time, and how that leads to certain things.
Yeah,
that's a fun conversation. We got another super chat. Nothing too crazy with this one. Just Sarah being awesome. Appreciate you being here, Sarah. Thank you for the super chat and the very kind words. Yeah, that's awesome. Just donating just to say, I can't wait for this Eric and Ant breakdown. Go Bills. And then there's 3 Buffalo emojis and 4 hearts, 2 red, 2 blue. Thank you very much, Sarah. That's very awesome. I've forgotten the rhythm of the super chats because we haven't been live in so long. Yeah, like, it's really, and anytime I do film on Disguise coverage, it's always offline, so I'm completely out of rhythm. I saw the flash.
I thought we went offline, like we weren't recording or something when I was starting the film, so I didn't have the screen up.
Yeah, I stopped. I saw it and I was like, oh, super chat. And then I was like, oh no, super chat. Yeah, so fair enough. Thank you guys very much. Appreciate it.
All right. Back to the film, right, Ant? Let's get started here with some of the offensive film. And this is one of those plays to Cooper, 30 yards, that shows you why the Bills went out and got him. Having a receiver that can win one-on-one outside, when Josh wants to throw it down the field, especially in these, high leverage situations, 3rd and long on this play. You see the motion here by Shakir and the Chiefs defenders. You see Connor go ahead and travel with Shakir, and then you see a single high pre-snap. You see single high safety look. So it's a good call on the front side of this 3-by-1 formation to go to Cooper, especially because the Chiefs' best defender is probably right up here, McDuffie. So you get Cooper versus Johnson there at the bottom of the screen, and you get a dime from Josh to start off this game, 3rd and long. Big conversion, big swing of field position.
Yeah, they picked on Najee Johnson a little bit in this game, and multiple catches happening on him. He had a couple of nice tackles and some plays, but this is really good coverage, like, from Johnson. Like, he's right there, hip to hip. Yeah. It's just a dime. Like you said, the ball placement from Allen is tremendous. The catch from Cooper is tremendous. And then if we kind of dive into it, A little bit, and exactly, you have
Yeah.
the zoom in box there over Mr. Nick Bolton, and now you've labeled it for the fine folks watching it the word spy. We're going to be talking about it on the defensive side with regard to Mahomes. We'll be obviously talking about it here with regard to Allen. It's been a conversation piece all week. It showed up at moments in this game for
Yeah.
Kansas City, and then it didn't show up in some big moments for Kansas City.
Right. And having the spy there, obviously, if you have a guy accounting for Josh in these high leverage moments, you got to make the defense pay. You got to make him
Yeah.
pay, especially with the big arm of Josh, and he does that there. So they're taking one less guy out of coverage. You're playing that single high safety look, man coverage. You find your best matchup, and Josh did a great job of doing that. I like how, David Edwards identified the spy and then he immediately attacked him and attached to him so that if Josh did decide to kind of run around, he's blocked up. That's something that we have seen in the past from Spags and the Chiefs defense. So Josh made him pay on this play with the big, throw down the field. Really nice release. But as you said, great coverage, subtle push off at the end, and then the one-handed snag. And that one hand was his injured left hand. So good stuff from the Bills. Making the Chiefs defense pay when they go to these spy looks. Here's one from later in the game. Big play at the end of the game. Once again, seeing the motion. And on this play, the Bills actually see Josh and the Bills see multiple spies on this play. I can count at least two. I would even say maybe three. So first of all, you got Bolton here. Then you got the other linebacker right here being blocked by David Edwards. And then watch what this guy's doing. What's he looking at? He's kind of spying as well as the Chiefs send a little pressure, but you can see multiple eyes on Josh late in the game. And spies are one thing to make Josh stay in the pocket, but having to throw through all this traffic is a whole nother ball game. Look at all the different hands that are coming up into the air and jumping up as Josh throws it over the middle to Shakir. But I'll let you talk about from the all 22 angle what that motion did, to the Chiefs. We alluded to it at the beginning, how some of the shifts and motions that the Bills sent at the Chiefs kind of screwed up their pattern matching, and the Bills were able to find leverage.
Yeah, this one is another really good example of it. And you see the coverage that you're getting from Kansas City. It looks like man, and then potentially with what the safeties are doing on the back end with Hicks at the bottom of the screen and Cook at the top, with them capping those apex defenders, it ends up being cover zero. You get that indicator. And look at the angle. So that's Brian Cook, who Eric has drawn a line from. Look at the space that he has to close down on this play just to get to Shakir. Shakir has all this space to work, make this catch. Allen actually has to throw it. He throws it a little bit behind Shakir. Shakir makes a great catch. But the reason Shakir has all this space is because of that motion. Yeah. And Eric, if you go right there. So Samuel's coming in motion, and he's going to end up obviously crossing the formation on that jet there and creates a little trips look. That's the man who's coming. That's Connor, who Eric has highlighted there. McDuffie has come across number 22 with Mr. Curtis Samuel. And then you have Najee Johnson again, the outside corner to the top. He's signaling. They're communicating because as it looks right now, Connor is lined up over Matt Collins, but he's blitzing. Johnson and McDuffie end up doing a decent job kind of communicating and passing this off. Najee gives him that communication piece because the numbers are changing. Shakir was the one outside. Now Samuel is the one outside.
Almost multiple times when you're talking numbers changing. Watch where Samuel ends his motion and the ball snap. He's kind of in between the two receivers. And then now he's becoming the outside guy. Shakir's becoming the inside guy, basically number 3 inside. It's confusing. And if you're pattern matching, this is how you beat it. And Brady did a good job of drawing this one up.
Absolutely. Like Samuel is briefly the 2, then he becomes the 1. So he's about to become the 1. Shakir is the 2, and now Shakir is the 3, which is why you got that pass off. McDuffie takes Hollins. Najee stays outside on Samuel, but that means that Cook from this safety spot has to pick up Shakir. That motion and that switch release and the changing of the numbers based on what Kansas City was doing with their rules created space. It created leverage. We saw this a multitude of times in this game. And I just thought that was a really great way to kind of get them off their spot and be able to attack them. And I also like what you mentioned about the layering of hands up for Allen, because Edwards and Torrance there are taking the spies. you've created like layers that Allen has to throw through. He has to get it over like the three that are there with Connor all the way to Reed. And then he has to also get it over basically like two low hole players to make that throw. That's not easy. It's like kind of like you have two low guys in coverage there. So even though it's a little bit behind Shakir, that's a really good throw. Obviously a great catch by Shakir, but I really love the design more than anything of how the motion paired with the switch releases really messed with Kansas City and created space and leverage.
Right. And speaking of cover zero, it's something that, teams like to attack Josh with. Here's one from the second quarter, 10:39 on the clock, second and long here, 25-yarder to Cooper, who's obviously at the bottom of the screen, 3-by-1 set, and one heck of a move, slant and go, sluggo type route here. But the tracking and body control to get his feet in is just unreal. And
crazy.
I love this play because for most of the year, the Bills have run double China 7, 2 under routes and a corner route. And this is kind of playing off of that tendency, and we've seen, I think it was Hounds that ran it earlier in the year. I think we saw this play one other time. So this looks very similar to this double China 7 here. It's basically like a smash route, high, low here. But the Bills see cover zero, so they get man coverage. And on this play, rather than trying to beat the play with just his arm, Josh actually wins prior to the snap and changing the protection, making sure that Drew Tranquil, the linebacker to the top of the screen, is accounted for. So you see him pointing out to 23, the linebacker there. He sets that protection. So he's sliding for the offensive lineman to his left to account for the 4 down defensive lineman. He locks the right tackle with the edge defender, Karlaftis. And then Ray Davis plays an interesting part here too. He's coming across the formation, picking up McDuffie. So Josh got it blocked up, and that's pretty incredible, all things considered. But a guy that I talked about a lot in my Monday breakdown, O'Cyrus Torrence, look at him chop down the hands of that pass rusher, and then just enough to buy time to get a piece of Bolton, because Bolton's a free rusher. He's adding on, right? And that's a green dog type blitz there and rush by Bolton. So good job by Torrence of just slowing him up just enough so that Josh can get it blocked up and get set to make this throw down the field.
Yeah, you hit it. I don't have too much to add on this one. This is a good example for, Josh. It's a great throw and a great play by Cooper, but Josh winning from the neck up and setting that protection. This catch is ridiculous. Like, I called it a Willie Mays style catch. He's got to track it like he's a center fielder running to the warning track, and it's thrown over his outside shoulder. Just look at the focus, the concentration, the movement, the hand-eye coordination, and then to have the wherewithal to get your feet down. Like, he makes that. I saw people being like, this isn't a catch. It's clearly a catch. When he gets it and he snags it, his right foot is still down. Then he brings the left foot down. Like, that's the timing of all of it. And to have that sideline awareness while you're basically looking upside down is just that's what you get him for, right? Like, these type of big moments. So that's really great and sexy, but the meat of it was what you diagrammed and highlighted. Like, Allen sliding the protection towards Tranquil, Ray Davis picking up his man, and then Nick Bolton, who's a really good green dog rusher, and like seeing and triggering immediately and identifying that he does come a little free, but Torrence, like you said, does just enough. Look at that's such a great image. Like, Torrence taking up 2 dudes.
Yeah.
After chopping the hands on Wharton, 98.
Hold on, what'd you say? Chopping the what?
Hands.
Hand.
Waiting for it.
Hand.
Got to give Cromer some love on this play, man. He's been developing this O-line so well.
I should have known. You said it at first, and I was like, what did I say wrong? And then I was like, oh, no, it's a Cromer clip. I know it. That's really good. Yeah, like, and even too, like, Spencer Brown's hand usage this year getting on par with Dawkins, and how Edwards with his, and even from the tight ends, but getting Torrence involved in that with how physical of it and how imposing of a player he is. For him to show that kind of technicality is just another layer, and that he just did just enough to impede Bolton, just enough so Allen could get this throw off. Really big play. Like, this is just so pretty, but it's so pretty from a physical execution standpoint, but also the mental side. Like you said, this one is, if you're watching this and you're a Bills fan, this is one to kind of put in your back pocket for the people who say that, Allen doesn't play quarterback from the neck up, and he's not out there changing things or, adjusting protections or alerting or calling the game. Like, that's one to kind of put in your back pocket.
Right. And here's another play by the Bills and Allen against cover 0. And as I said in the breakdown on Monday and at the top of the show, for some reason, teams love challenging Josh with cover 0. Since he's entered the league, he's thrown 46 touchdowns versus cover 0. 41 of them have been in the red zone, including this game. And this was one of them to Curtis Samuel. It was nice to see him get involved, especially when you're talking these mesh concept. And that's kind of what this is, that mesh concept. Here you see it against the Dolphins when they were playing man. They snuck Cook out there. And these are the type of plays that, are really good versus cover 0. And then here's one, as we saw in that Shakir pass, the weakness of cover 0 is middle of the field. If you can get it blocked up, you can attack the middle like the Bills do to Cooper here in that game. So the Chiefs game, I love how Samuel is the outside receiver, but his technique, Anthony, on this play was just great. Looked a little hesitation on this mesh release, hesitation, caused a little doubt. And then right there, you see that creates a little separation right at the get-go. And a few weeks ago, when they were playing the Jets, you see him at the bottom of the screen versus DJ Reed. He didn't do that. He just got right into his route, and that allowed Reed to close and shut down this play after the catch. You can see the first down marker right there. He's short of it. So Samuel learned a little bit, threw a little release, hesitation off the release. There's a nice rub, pick, whatever you want to call it, by Hollins. I don't think it's a pick just because it's not what created the separation. There's already separation there.
And Hollins didn't change his trajectory. Like that was the angle he was already on. He didn't go out of his way to pick Johnson. He was already on that. Yep.
Yeah. And I think it was sold well. I don't think you can call, you can throw the flag on that. So either way, good job all together, top to bottom. Josh has a little pressure, buys a little time, hits Samuel for the touchdown.
It's funny to see teams, you have the historical numbers there for cover 0. Even this year, like the cover 0 touchdown against the Cardinals, against the Jets, like the one to Amari Cooper, like we've seen him continuously beat cover 0 in a multitude of ways. And now, getting mesh. I love that you tied in the route against the Jets. We saw their adjustment later in that game was to have Mac Hollins just jack up Reed at the line to create separation for Samuel. Yeah. Now Samuel's doing it on his own with a little bit of that hezzy. It's a great juxtaposition here. He gets right into the shallow versus the Jets. It allows DJ Reed to stay right on his hip, and he makes the tackle. Now it's that slight hezzy. And then also notice when Samuel, he takes it on an angle instead of just getting right into the drag, right into the over. Yes, he takes it like he's about to attack the front pylon, which also changes Johnson's angle. He opens up that way like, okay, I guess we got to go upfield. And then Samuel just kind of snaps it off a little bit and gets horizontal. That helps Johnson run into Hollins. Yep. Mac Hollins deserves legitimate, like just all the dirty stuff that he does in mesh week after week. It's so beautiful.
He's so good at this.
He's like, it's a legitimate thing.
It's
and it's
skill.
Not like, yes,
it's a freaking skill.
That's exactly what I was going to say. Like, we're not saying it because like, oh, he's a Bill or because like he's so good at it. It is an art to be able to run your route with the right trajectory and pacing to constantly pick dudes off and create space. And he does it all the time. And it's nice that we get that opening up there for Samuel. He makes a good adjustment on the ball and then shows some ability after the catch.
Like good adjustment, right?
Yes.
Give some kudos to Samuel. This is not an easy catch to make with the velocity that Josh had on it. And also the kind of, as you said, it's a little on the back hip, back shoulder there, but he's able to, pick that off, reel it in, and then keep his balance. Obviously, he's able to walk in, but that's a pretty athletic play, all things considered.
And also Ray Davis on the outside there, like he sees it, he gets a piece of Tranquil and takes him out of the plane, takes him to the sideline. Like this is also nice too, just from an Allen standpoint. We've talked about it on the show so much. I hope everybody understands at this point. Mesh rail option 1 is the rail to Davis. As Eric's highlighted there, Tranquil takes away the rail. So that's the number 1. The number 2 is the shallow to Curtis Samuel. Allen's eyes immediately go to him. He knows he's got it, rolls to his right, hits Samuel, gets a little help from Hollins. If there's one thing you need to know this year, it's, what also is funny? I was going to make a joke, but like the other joke I'm going to make instead, how much they're running mesh after how ugly it's been for them. Like just now how much they run it and how much it works now. It's just so funny.
Slow clap for that because it was the bane of my
Can you imagine for us on this show? Imagine if they were doing all this with mesh. Imagine if they were also running more pistol. Like how excited we would be on the show. Oh my God.
Worlds would collide. Yeah. No, it was mesh has been money. It's been money and they've needed it because it's felt like defenses have not been scared of the weapons they have, so they have been wanting to man up more. And Brady has provided answers, and Allen has gone through his. This is I know Aaron, his name just flashed up on the screen, but Kurt Warner has gone on this rampage about how pure progressions are killing football. But in all actuality, when you whittle it down to Josh Allen's play, it's saved him as a passer. It's given him the guardrails and process to go through each play like a checklist. And this play is really the epitome of Josh Allen this year as a passer, and how those pure progression calls like mesh have kept Josh on track and allowed him to work smoothly, efficiently through his progressions for touchdowns.
Yeah. I also don't understand, like, especially for a guy like Warner, I feel like he'd like a quarterback going from like 1 to 2 to 3 and like reading things out. Like, I don't know why it bothers him
coming
so
from
much.
where he's played in the system under Mike Martz. Well, he's played. It's kind of interesting that he prefers more of Dorsey's system that we saw the last year and a half.
And that's what's so like, and I get why you could prefer that.
Sure.
Because like, oh, there's so much on the quarterback to read everything out, and if you're able
the
to
young
do
quarterbacks playing earlier and all that, I get that.
Yeah, I can understand that, and and the kudos that you would give, but it still takes. You still have to do. See, that's even like from Aaron saying, Kurt Warner only likes football the way he played it only, but he did progression reads and like what was going on. So I don't understand why he wouldn't. It's not like Allen is just dropping back and running around and scrambling like a chicken with his head cut off. He's going from 1 to 2 to 3 to 4 sometimes. I feel like Warner would like that. It's weird that he doesn't for anyone. He's just so angry.
All right. So moving back on, we just had to get on that soapbox for a minute. We're moving on to obviously the biggest play of the game that really erupted the entire stadium and solidified this win. This is our easy loan auto sales play of the game. Obviously, Josh Allen scoring that touchdown, 26-yard scamper for the touchdown on, once again, a mesh call. But Spagnuolo threw a little wrinkle in there, disguised it well, dropped in the zone. That didn't stop Josh. I think there's probably about an 80% chance, regardless of what they played on defense, that Josh was going to go and take this into his own hand and run it for a first down, regardless. But either way, he made it look very easy, and he clinched this game really for the Bills with this 26-yard touchdown.
Yeah, it's funny with how quick he took off. It's almost like he was literally just waiting for any opportunity. And as soon as he saw the Red Sea kind of part a little bit, he's like, oh, there we go. I'm taking it. Yeah. And it's funny, too. We talked about the spy and how all these things have kind of played out. Like, we saw the Bills find success with mesh to Curtis Samuel earlier, mesh rail, a little bit of a different variation here with mesh. And, Eric had, the video and the playbook graphic up there for Slither.
I'll go back to that. So this is the playbook from Joe Brady's playbook with LSU. So, mesh traffic. Some people call that on social. Some people call it Slither, as you can see in the top right. And I showed the video of Cook earlier. Here it is again. He just slithering out, right? He's kind of slithering out here.
We also saw this. This was a touchdown against who last year? The Giants? Giants? Yeah,
I think it was Jets.
Oh, Jets. Yeah, you're right. Jets.
So same thing. You're expecting man coverage. You're getting some rubs and picks. But this time, instead of a running back running it, they're using a little eye candy to Johnson. They're trying to sneak out Shakir, is what they said in the postgame presser.
Yeah, so mesh, still in that mesh family, bit of a different variation like we have here. Allen, and I really like Allen pumps Ty Johnson.
Yeah.
And then all the meshing and the chaos in the middle of the field. And the Chiefs actually do a good job passing all of this off. They have picked up everyone. Bolton's on a guy. Tranquil's on a guy. Chanel's on a guy. Johnson's on a guy. McDuffie down at the bottom. Like, everybody is X'd out like we have shown here. But all of that correct passing off is the reason why there is a void
100%
in the middle of the field. Like, all that great pass off work combined with Osiris Torrance just chucking Chris Jones inside widens the B gap. This is like the death knell territory for what defenses don't want. Quarterbacks being able to step up and through that B gap. There's no rush lane integrity. So you get a parting of the Red Sea at the line, courtesy of Torrance, as we show here. Watch him just torque him inside and drive Jones right out of the picture. Allows Allen to step up through that. And then the route distribution combined with the coverage furthers that separation and that void even more. And then once Allen gets into space, it's just runaway moose time and he breaks tackles.
And it's something that we haven't seen a bunch of when we're talking over the course of Allen's career, is throwing those shallow drags, those crossing routes. His placement on those throws and accuracy haven't always been the best. And so the Bills haven't really run it a lot, but this year they've been running it a lot more, sometimes with Coleman. We saw it with Samuel in the first half, and that touchdown you just saw, that was one of two different times where they ran this play where Josh hit that crosser. And as you said, that's why it was passed off so well. They saw these crossers and this concept earlier, so they were fighting fire with fire. They were jumping those routes, and that is why that crease opened up for Josh. And of course, like I said, he was going to take it, I think, more times than not anyways, but he made it really look easy on this play. He's able to get 6 points on the board, and you can see the crowd just going crazy. Awesome way to, kind of clinch this game. I had friends over watching the game that aren't Bills fans, and they were even jumping up like it was like the biggest play they'd ever seen. It was very exciting in the Turner household. So I know at Highmark Stadium it was as well.
Yeah, we had some family over, and it was raucous when he pulled that run out. It was nice. And one little nugget too, Allen, after the game, he said, quote, he was asked about this play. He said, we had a man play called. They dropped out into zone. They had something good for it. And again, kudos to the Chiefs. They did have something good for it. But like you said, I really do think Allen was just looking for any excuse to be like, oh, it's not there, I'm running. Like, he just wanted it and took off.
This moment right here, he's taking it.
Yeah, 100%.
You see it hit the top of his drop. Oh, Shakir's taken. I'm taking it.
That's exactly it. Like, Shakir's covered. Guess I got to run now. Like, yeah, he 100% was taking every opportunity and advantage there. And again, like you said, KC clued in on it. Mesh. They know what the Bills like to do and run. So and that's what Allen and this offense. I think that's such an exciting piece now because the scheme is tying into it. And Allen is playing above the scheme, but he's also playing within it and taking advantage of the stress the scheme is putting on the defense. Like, instead of the defense just being like, we have to key in on Allen, they're like, no, we got to take away Mesh. And then they focus so much on that, and Allen got him. And if it was vice versa, maybe Allen gets him on the mesh instead of having to run. Like, having all these options to account for is definitely really nice and making it look easy. Play of the game, even though it was anything but, sponsored by our friends at Easy Loan Auto Sales, who, regardless of your credit situation, Easy Loan can help get you behind the wheel and on the road to better credit. All of their vehicles include a 2-year, 24,000-mile warranty, and they have 3 convenient locations in Buffalo, Lockport, and Niagara Falls. They can get you driving today. Go to easyloanauto.com to start your accelerated approval with our fans and friends over there at Easy Loan Auto. Thank you very much for sponsoring this segment. And, that Eric, that's a nice segue to something that you and I care about tremendously. MVP odds. After this game, we saw a change in the bump up for MVP odds. We talked about this a couple of weeks ago, courtesy of our friends over at BetUS. But if you look at this graphic now, the odds for the 2024-2025 NFL MVP, Josh Allen has jumped in front of Lamar Jackson. Jared Goff, our dark horse, is still hanging out there. But you can see that list of Allen, Lamar, Jared Goff, Pat Mahomes, Jalen Hurts, Kyler Murray making his appearance with what he's done for the Cardinals. What are your thoughts here? We've talked about it before in terms of how much or how much not the MVP odds matter to us. But I think this game obviously and clearly really did a lot towards kind of pushing him a little forward, almost kind of like it would for somebody in their Heisman campaign.
Yeah, the media runs with it. I mean, if you looked at all the content that was created Monday morning about Allen and the Bills, it was this conversation right here. And we have said this for weeks, if Josh doesn't, as he limits the turnovers, the media is going to still be on board with him. Now, Lamar had a pretty good run there for a few weeks. But obviously now Josh has taken the pole seat here when it comes to the MVP odds. But when you win against the Chiefs like this, in the fashion he did, especially including that last play, it's hard for him not to be included in this conversation. And I would agree. That's the video I put out on Monday. I think his name, it has come back into that conversation, and rightfully so. Even though as a Bills fan, I thought he's been there all season. I think that game in this high leverage moment with that many eyes on that game, I'm not surprised by the odds changing now.
Yeah, you've got to not only play well, but you've got to have those, like you said, those high leverage situations or those moments. The example I always gave, or that always comes to my mind, and maybe he was going to win it already, but Charles Woodson winning the Heisman, he has that punt return touchdown against Ohio State, like clinches it, like the Desmond Howard punt return, like also you got to have these notable moments. Lamar, dicing up the Niners on prime time last year was a big one for him. So you not only have to play well, you kind of have to have these moments that you can hang your hat on in these high leverage situations, and having that run to seal the game against the Chiefs, considering that rivalry, the Chiefs being undefeated, you getting the job done. Yeah, no surprise that Allen is kind of vaulted into the leadership spot, and maybe in a couple weeks, like we talked about many weeks ago, Josh Allen versus Jared Goff with Bills Lions might actually end up being a battle for MVP as well. Yeah, it's a fun conversation to have. And again, this graphic provided by our friends at BetUS. If you are looking for a new sportsbook this football season, BetUS is the answer. They have the fastest payouts in the industry. They give you a 150% bonus on your first deposit, and then a 125% bonus on your next two deposits up to $2,000, all with code YouTube150. That's YouTube150. They give you a fast and easy deposit and withdrawal process, 24/7 personalized service, 365 days a year, live wagering on all major games, the best betting variety in the business. They allow you to get 10% back on your net losses twice a year, and they also can give you your very own personal account manager. Good stuff over there from our folks and friends at BetUS. Yeah, absolutely appreciate the partnership, and the graphic here showing some love for the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Joshua Patrick Allen.
Yeah, absolutely. So moving on, the reason why everyone came to the film room tonight, what the Bills did on defense to contain Patrick Mahomes, but more importantly, Travis Kelce. So let's get into some of that discussion. We got a bunch of film clips for that. I think obviously when you're talking the Chiefs offense, regardless of who's at the skill positions, it's a unit thing. It's an effort. It's all 11 guys have to be on the same page. And we're going to show you different ways that happened when we're talking communication, when we're talking eye discipline, when they're in their zone coverages, how important it is to get everyone's awareness pre and post snap on where Kelce was on in the formation itself. And then, of course, there's going to be several plays from Terrel Bernard. And
I was waiting for how long it was going to take you to name drop him.
Damn well I'm going to have a lot of film of him. And I said on Monday, as soon as I watched the film, I said, you know what? It was almost like Terrel Bernard took it personal. Like, hey, it's my responsibility to erase Travis Kelce, because there were times where there's a certain landmark that Bernard was supposed to get to in coverage, but he saw Kelce running some kind of deep cross in the intermediate, and he's like, screw that. I'm just going to take him away. I'm going to leave it open underneath. And it worked because the ball was looking to go to Kelce. And I thought this game was obviously he was the defensive player of the week, right? For the AFC.
Yes, absolutely.
So he earned that, and the film didn't lie when it came to that overall.
Yeah, just seeing the focus on Travis Kelce, especially knowing, again, different circumstances, but how much he went off in that playoff game last year after not having a lot of success throughout the year, and then just kind of carved up the Bills a little bit, and seeing that concerted effort from the defense, from Bernard. And, that also tied into everything with Kansas City. They just, for whatever reason, and again, a lot of folks will like to tell you it's because they're just, keeping it all in the back pocket for when they need to in the playoffs. But this Chiefs offense has been sluggish. They've looked sluggish. The Bills, when they went man coverage in this game, had guys on lock. Didn't matter who it was. Rasul Douglas is out there jamming Juju Smith-Schuster into oblivion on multiple reps. They had a lot of good answers for the Chiefs offense and their pass game in general. The Chiefs' most success just came with being able to grind it on the Bills in terms of their run game and churning out 6 to 7 yards a carry, it felt like, with regularity. But when it came to the pass, really from the jump, with what they were able to do in coverage, combined with the pass rush, the marriage of those two things. They had a really good game plan to kind of keep Kansas City off track and being able to pinpoint Kelce and Mahomes at the same time with a lot of what that they were doing within that marriage.
I love how you mentioned the pass rush. That's going to play on the back half of this play. So Kelsey's in the slot to the top there. They're running a high-low versus a single high coverage of the Bills. And just watch how the Bills, they just kind of squat right on Kelsey's route. And honestly, Mahomes probably could have thrown it if he threw it in rhythm, but he hesitates. And I think part of the reason he hesitates is that D-line. But look at Bernard. Like, again, there's no one going into his area. He's firing downhill.
Not on my watch.
Yeah, exactly. But I'll show from the end zone angle why the pass rush is important to this interception by Rapp there on the back end, because on the snap, and I thought this happened all game, the Bills reestablished the line of scrimmage when we're talking the pass game. One, watch Daquan Jones versus the guy Trey Smith, who we said at the top was very mean. Look at the power that Jones brought on this play. Totally got Smith on his heels. But then at the top of the drop, when Mahomes wants to throw this, watch Ed Oliver. I think that plays a part in it too. That forces Mahomes to pull it down. And then he's trying to climb the pocket. Daquan Jones wraps his arms around him. And I think Bernard kind of flashed right in front of him. And that caused the pass to kind of go up and over a little too high as he's getting tackled right into the hands of Rapp.
Yeah, a lot of moving parts for Mahomes to kind of work through as he hits the top of his drop and tries to make that throw. In my headcanon, in my belief, Daquan saw, Trey Smith being kind of a jerk face the first couple of plays. And so he was like, oh, I got you one-on-one on this one. Cool. I'm going to pop you right in the face. And he ends up, contributing significantly to this, because of his ability to get hands on Mahomes. And you have the track highlighted there. Yeah. Look at him knock Trey Smith back. You've got Groot closing down an alley there. The pocket is literally compressing and kind of falling into Mahomes's lap. And you pair that with three guys jumping Travis Kelce to make sure he's not going to get the ball. And Kelce does his job, right? He sits down a yard past the sticks. He's ready to get the first down. But because he has that gravity and three guys jump him, you have an open man coming behind him there, Mr. Gray. He's open. Mahomes sees him. Bernard gets in the field of vision a little bit. Daquan gets hands on Mahomes. Both of those things combine to alter the trajectory of the ball, like you said. And then Taylor Rapp, just another example of the Bills safeties kind of being in the right position at the right time.
Yeah, and so we'll move on in the first quarter. And, it's a thing I talked about all week after the game was, getting eyes and being aware of Kelce. So look at everyone as the ball snapped here. The Bills are in a single high coverage. Kelce is on the line of scrimmage to the top of the screen, and just watch as he releases down the field and pay attention to the route he's going to run because it's going to come up later. But as soon as he gets vertical here, look at Dorian Williams, how he pivots and hinges. He hinges to the man, not to the quarterback. Usually he's hinging to the quarterback and getting his eyes to the quarterback, but his eye discipline are on Kelce, and Bernard is as well. So there's that bracket that Andy Reid talked about in his post-game presser and what the Bills did to him and Hopkins. You see at least 4 eyes on Kelce there. They take him away on this play, and that's kind of the MO for the entire game. So Mahomes is looking at him. He's taken away. So what does he try to do? He's just trying to swing it out into the flats, and the play is there. But because of Epenesa's awareness, he's able to, and length and timing, he does this very well. When we're talking batted passes, he's able to get a piece of that and almost be like a defender that's covering that route by Hardman out into the boundary.
Yeah, I like this from AJ Epinesa. He, he's reading the action in the backfield, takes that wide rush, and he's eyeing Mahomes right now. He's got 2 guys on him. He can see that he's not getting to Mahomes, so he's going to start to retrace back a little bit. He knows Hardman is leaking out there, and he just places himself well, almost like he's just a defender kind of in the flat there in zone coverage, and it's nice to have that, playing run to pass, seeing what's going on, recognizing how the play is developed and how it's unfolding. Look at that back pedal. Like he is very aware of what is going on. He consistently does this, whether he's dropping into the actual zones on like creepers or sims, or just, kind of a playoff script like this. Really nice job from him to get up and kind of bat that down. And also a little shout out to Ed Oliver there, working through Smith and Taylor. He gets free and he just comes barreling down the pipe and just kind of annihilates.
Nice look at Mahomes there.
Yeah, I was gonna say for like as much as you can't really hit quarterbacks nowadays, like this one counts as, annihilating a QB, he gets a good shot. And, I thought he played well in this game. Aaron alluded to in his comment there that you just pulled up. Like it's been the last couple of weeks, he's starting to play with more of that juice. He's deconstructing blocks. He's taking on double teams. He's splitting them. There were a couple reps in this one where he didn't finish the play off, and I think they kind of got swept by the wayside, where he was showing violence in his movement and getting free. And it's really nice to see that, considering what we haven't seen from the interior defensive line this year.
Yeah, no doubt. And when you, as I said at the top, when you play the Chiefs, communication and preparation is incredibly important. And this is a run by the Chiefs, but just look at all the communication that happens on this play. And usually, as the play moves on, you see Taryn letting Epinesa know, hey, I'm the inside player here if they do run. But Anthony, we always talk about what motion and shifts do the defense. They change coverages, they change defensive structures. So you see that motion, you see everyone switch, and then Dorian comes over and now is to the weak side of the formation. He's letting Epinesa know, hey, I'm here. I'm the inside player here if they do run it. Of course, top of the screen, Taron Johnson, see him in the slot. He's letting Rapp know what's going on there. Again, all of the communication, all of the preparation. Now they're signaling what coverage they're in. They're calling their trap call there. And Bernard's, I think he did this multiple times in this game. Yep. I think this motion is just letting everyone know that they're going to be running or clearing out with one of the routes. But either way, this is actually just an RPO type run here. So they hand it off. But all that communication prior to the snap was incredibly important to just this run stop here. Because, again, the Bills are in a light box here. They're in a two, they drop out into a too high safety shell. You see Hamlin pop out there. And then, Bernard's run off because of that little screen to the left. So they're down numbers here, but because of all that communication and playing by the defense prior to the snap, you see them Hunt run right into Austin Johnson, who does a great job of playing gap and a half here to stop this play.
Yeah, we've started to. Bobby Babich talked about it a couple of weeks ago. It's been nice to kind of see some of the gap and a half stuff play out in a positive way. And again, especially like you said, when it comes down to light boxes, Bills had a light box usage rate of 64.7 this week against Kansas City, sixth highest on the week. We know they prefer to operate that way. They are a light box defense, nickel, all that kind of stuff. We've talked about it ad nauseum, but the communication, you see it so much, and it's usually from the same cast of characters like Bernard and Taryn and Rapp, and we're seeing it more from Hamlin. Now to see Dorian Williams get in on it a little bit is really nice to see. Like Rasul Douglas was very vocal in his communication in this game. Everybody kind of being on the same page, and you need to be, even though the Chiefs have struggled and they haven't been the Chiefs of old, you need to be on point with what they throw at you. And a great job from Austin Johnson inside. I was extremely encouraged by this rep. I hope we continue to see more of this from him. You had this little cone of vision highlighted there, eyes on the ball carrier. He's taking on Tooney. He's not getting displaced. His eyes are peeking over that inside shoulder of Tooney. He's waiting for Hunt to come through. And then AJ Epinesa too, he knocks Morris back and puts him at a different level than the rest of the offensive line. So he's able to get inside and get an arm on Morris. So a good play from AJ on the outside. He pops Morris, he extends. So AJ Epinesa gets his eyes inside. Johnson gets his eyes inside. Both of them come free and make a stop. If the Bills can get this type of play more consistently with how they use light boxes, two high safety structures, and want to play coverage numbers, this defense starts to take another jump because of how they play and who they are from a philosophical and identity standpoint.
Right. So moving on, we're still in the first quarter, 9:35 on the clock. Bills are up 6-0. Third and fourth situation here. This is a sack by Terrel Bernard, and the Bills use him as a spy here. And the Bills did this several times, sometimes with 4 defensive linemen, sometimes with only 3 and the 2 backers. They had different variations of it, but this is their dime defense, and they have Bernard sugaring the center. And the reason that you sugar the center with this type of defensive look from the line is it gets a lot of one-on-ones. And so at the top of the snap, let's look at the coverage end of things. So man coverage, and once again, watch the bottom of the screen and the slight adjustment in motion by Kelce. And what that does to Taron Johnson, you see him communicating what they're doing there. They're pushing over one guy, but then post snap too, I want you to watch Johnson. He declares immediately who his guy is, making that easier for Hamlin. Hamlin doesn't have to guess between those two guys right there. He's like, that's mine. I got Kelce. And that's important because they're kind of releasing the same way. Worthy and Kelce are releasing the same way. And you can see Hamlin, he just plays high to low here. And right there, it helps take away Kelce initially. And then boom, now he's into the hip pocket of Worthy. There's nothing there. Mahomes has to move on. You get pressure from the D line. You got that aggressive spy, which we talked about years ago with the Bills and how they use that with Milano. Here it's Bernard. As I said, this is why that sugaring prior to the snap is important, Anthony. Talk about that and how that changes the pass protection by the Chiefs offensive line.
Yeah, we've seen the Niners do this a bunch over the years with Fred Warner. The Rams would do it a lot in their Super Bowl run year. You sugar that center with Terrel Bernard right there. It creates that 5-0 protection, meaning you got everybody man for man across that line. Yeah. And you basically know what you're going to get. It creates a whole bunch of one-on-ones. And Bernard here does that. So Creed Humphrey is his responsibility. But there's Bernard just kind of sitting there. He is that aggressive spy. And Eric, like you said, we talked about it a couple of years ago. We really started to see this type of presentation and package from the Bills in that 2022 game against the Kansas City Chiefs. It's not the exact same. It will be later when they go with a 3-down front, but it falls into that kind of odd mirror package where the whole idea is to have your front get Mahomes off the spot. You were trying
to pin
their
ears back, right? Don't worry about contain.
No, forget that. You were trying to break the line. You were trying to break protection. You were trying to disrupt Mahomes, and you want to get him off of his spot. That's all you're trying to do. And as soon as he gets off his spot, that aggressive spy, here it's Terrel Bernard, that aggressive spy closes down and attacks. When it was clicking in 2022, they were running it the traditional odd mirror way with 3 down, which is where you get your odd from. And Von Miller was the disruptor, and Matt Milano was that person closing down. And the way it plays out here is really nice. The action that you get, there's the communication from Bernard. Yeah. It almost
he's telling them, he's like, hey, just a reminder, I'm a spy here. Let's see.
Yes.
He points to his eyes here. I think maybe he's looking at Von, or at least the guys out wide, but he's communicating. Again, he's always communicating.
Always talking. He's the air traffic controller. We talk about it all the time on the show. And it's nice how this plays out with the rushes from Rousseau and Oliver. It almost works out like a designed game, like kind of like a pirate stunt a little bit, where they crash that left side. Von is looping around and flattening from the right. This is going to flush Mahomes to his left right into the waiting arms of Terrel Bernard. Almost works perfectly like a designed game up front, which it kind of is. This is so pretty from a pass rush perspective. And then it also works because of the coverage on the back end. And it's funny showing it too, like how the motions and the switch releases and the stack releases from the Bills would mess with Kansas City's coverage. It's because they weren't always declaring early enough. You had guys were still making the decision on who they were going to cover as the routes were developing and the route distribution. But like you said, that's a great call out. Like Taryn kind of eliminates that right off rip. As soon as the ball is snapped, he's like, Kelce's mine. You eliminate that consternation. You eliminate any type of miscommunication or mental error. Then you just have to adjust physically on top of it. So really good initial coverage from the Bills and throughout. And I love just the presentation up front from the pressure package, whether it was 4 down with the aggressive spy or the more traditional 3 down odd mirror type look that we saw later, especially on the last drive of the game for the Bills defense. Really nice job.
Yeah, real quick, there a question was asked, what is sugar in the center? He's just lining up over the center so that the center has to account for him in protection, because again, with him being right there near line of scrimmage over the center, he's a possible rusher. So they have to have an answer for that. And so that's why I said it gives them one-on-ones, because now you have Creed kind of being occupied by Bernard. Now everyone else has one-on-ones to collapse the pocket. That's that 5-0 protection. That's that man type protection where every guy has a guy, simply because Bernard lined up and sugared that center. That's something that Mr. Eric Wood taught me back in the day when I was working for the Athletic. Great stuff here. You're taking one of the better centers in the league, one of the smartest centers in the league, away from helping his teammates. And that allows the Bills to collapse the pocket, which in turn triggered the aggressive spy, which in turn got a sack for Terrel Bernard en route to the defensive player of the week for the AFC. Awesome game plan by the Bills. And we're going to see that again multiple times.
Real quick on that too, Eric, we'll also we'll use that term, sugaring the A gap. So you don't have to just sugaring isn't just related to the center. You can also sugar the A gaps. Yes. We talk about it all the time, just meaning it's similar idea there. You're just lining up in that A gap right on the line of scrimmage, pre-snap, messing with protections, messing with rules, all that kind of stuff.
Totally.
Man, now I want
So
like a candy or something like that because of all, like, not even joking. Like, I want something like sweet, like a donut. Like, I gotta go.
all right, moving forward to the second quarter, 9:56 on the clock. Bills are winning 13-7. Third and long situation here. Bills go to that spy look. We're talking about spies on both sides of the ball. But we're also talking about the awareness of Travis Kelce. He starts out wide, and you see in motion. Look at all that communication. Look at everyone moving and getting their eyes on Kelce on this play. And as Mahomes kind of changes his play and protection as well, very good communication, very good awareness as the Bills are in their dime package, more of a three defensive line look. You got Rousseau, you have Oliver, and you have Vaughn to the top, and then you have 2 linebackers and 6 DBs, 3-2-6. Bills are doing what, Anthony, at the line of scrimmage with their linebackers?
That's right. They're sugaring the A gap.
They're sugaring the gaps there. But then post snap, the Bills drop out here. And again, they're totally aware of Kelce. And I think, honestly, they're using him more of a decoy here. I think they want this route right here to Worthy, and it's open as the Bills drop out into a 2 high safety structure. But again, that pressure, the ability of that Bills defensive line to just attack, pin their ears back and attack rather than worrying about contain, which is kind of the MO of McDermott's defense. Rousseau comes off the edge. He kind of shoots high to the top of the pocket. You see Miller with an inside move, and he's there for the sack. Great third and long package here from the Bills, incorporating the spy, getting more defensive backs on the field. But then great job by the D-line. Kudos to the D-line all day. They did a great job of creating pressure. This time they get home with a sack.
Yeah, that's, my big takeaway on this one. You're only rushing 3, and all 3 rushers got a piece of Patrick Mahomes on this play. Rousseau starts it with the angle that he takes and just bullies Morris off that left side, or from, our right side from this vantage point. The angle that he takes, it's almost like a direct route once he gets hands, and, he flattens right here and is able to attack Mahomes, gets his long tree trunk arms on Mahomes. That causes Mahomes to step up in the pocket. And as he does that, Ed Oliver is working through his man. Von Miller is working through his man, and both of them meet at Mahomes to just be able to get that for all 3 guys, like all 3 guys getting a hand on Mahomes, and Mahomes also not getting out of it. Like the tandem work, the dancing, the coordination that happens here from that front. Yeah, it's just a total. Yeah, go ahead.
Like, think about this, Anthony. You talked about the dance and the coordination. You see the move by Vaughn. He's doing an inside spin move. That is a big no-no when you're playing Mahomes. Why? Because this is just opening up a big play. But they can do that because of the spy. So, the spy there. And you talk about dance and coordination. You see the inside spin by Miller, and you see the spike by Ed Oliver right here. But also, it's almost like a high-low game that, a lot of pass rushers and defensive coordinators use, where Rousseau is a high man. He's going to rush high. He's going to hit the top of the drop. And then you're getting an inside move or a low rush from Von Miller there. It's almost like they planned it. It's something that every time we talk about that, it's something when we scouted the Chiefs years ago, it's something that the Bills kind of use as well, because teams like when they'd play Cam Newton, when he was with the Panthers, teams would do that. Von Miller and the Broncos did in the Super Bowl. They high-low rushed Cam Newton to prevent things like this and not allow the quarterback to get out of the pocket. The Bills did a great job on this play, game plan-wise, scheming it up, and then just execution when you're talking to defensive line, including that spy.
Yeah, I love this package. I've loved how Georgia is implementing it at the college level and what Bama has done with it as well. Obviously, that coaching tree are huge proponents of it, but seeing how much success the Bills have had with it against Kansas City these past couple of years and how it's reared its head in this game positively for the Bills defense, it really paid dividends. And again, like you said, it opens up your rushers to just like, just go hunt, because even if you're wrong, that aggressive spy can make you right. And if you have, if you've got athletic dudes like there, and that's such a good role for Dorian Williams too. Like, hey bro, just go be athletic. Just go be fast and athletic. Don't worry about anything else. Just sit there as a low hole guy, see ball, get ball. That's it.
Yeah. So second half, 13-48 in the second half, third quarter, Bills are up 16-14, 2nd and 3 situation here. I love this sequence of plays. 2nd and 3 ball on the 27-yard line. So where's Travis Kelce? All right, top of the screen, you see the Chiefs in a 2-by-2 set. Watch the communication as that motion comes across the field. Again, the Bills were super prepared. They had very good recognition on what the Chiefs were doing based on formation. So there's the motion. Watch Taron Johnson right there. As they go to a 3-by-1 set, look at Taron, what he's telling Benford. He's saying, hey, get up on the line, press him. That's Kelce as number one. Get up on the line. And that's important because that's where Mahomes goes with the ball. You see a little push off by Kelce. Mahomes climbs the pocket a little bit, but he gets it to Kelce, but he's short of the sticks. And that press jam at the snap was the difference between the Chiefs picking up this first down and not. And they stopped Kelce short. This is just incredible detail by the Bills defense. Taron Johnson with his, vocal leadership here. Benford doing a great job of wrapping Kelce up to force third down.
Yeah, the nice adjustment, and I like how as Taron calls Benford up and Benford comes up, Taron drops a little bit, so that way you don't have everybody kind of like on that same plane and same line. So we don't have to worry about picks and rubs and all that kind of stuff. Like Taron starts to drop at right on the snap, Benford gets his hands. It's nice to see and have these type of corners now for the Bills if you get into these situations. Like Benford's not going to get bullied by Kelce. Rasul Douglas is going to get bullied by Kelce. And that's a nice tackle too. Like we've seen Kelce, even when he's super slow and it feels like he's moving, like he's in molasses, he's so wiggly. Like after the catch, he just knows. He just knows how to like position his body and shift and move, even at this age and at this kind of, quote unquote, diminished value potentially. So this is a good job by them. And Noah Gray ends up coming open a little bit. Mahomes is already locked into Kelce. Maybe the pressure has something to do with it a little bit. Maybe the protection is, breaking down. Mahomes is seeing some flashes, but Rapp is on Gray. And based on Juju and how he runs his route, and you had it highlighted there, Gray has space and he has the leverage. Rapp is out leveraged. There's space there, but Mahomes gives it to Kelce and the Bills get the stop.
And that's important because, as I said, that forced third down. So here's third down, 12:53 mark.
This play, man. This
entire sequence, it gets me amped, right? And it gets us amped, right? All right, so this is the next play. This is third down. And watch what the Bills do. Watch what Rousseau and Ed Oliver do to the play side here against the Chiefs, taking the fight to the Chiefs offensive line, just penetrating and shortening the edge for the Bills defense, and they blow this play up. And I love the attitude they play with here. So again, watch Rousseau right here stacked on the extra offensive lineman. You see Oliver take on the double team, and they pierce that offensive line. And then again, that shortens the edge right here, allows Douglas to come in there and make a play. And they blow up this play to force fourth down.
This is just physicality and violence and making a decision that they're not going to get that yard. Like you see it right on the snap, right off rip, the physicality and the violence and the leverage at the same time. Like that's not, an extra tight end that Greg Rousseau is blocking. That's an actual offensive lineman. Uses his length, gets underneath him, good hand placement, like we see him do time and time again, wrenches him back, gums up the works, collapses that front side. And then, like you said, you've got Ed Oliver, great work against that double team. Like you've got to be able to be quick. Look how low Oliver is. Yeah, he gets low and then he reduces his surface area, chucks Trey Smith. He flings Trey Smith forward and then continues through and splits that double team after not getting displaced, which is nice. And
look
even
at Daquan too. Look at the arm lift by Daquan against Humphrey.
Yeah,
you see that obviously there's a back block by Humphrey because you're getting the left guard pulling. Look at him meet fire with fire. Watch this right hand. Boom, arm lift there, displaces, throws him to the ground. The D line in this game, man, they had one of the better performances in a game that we've seen in a long time, and it didn't really show up much in the stat box.
Yeah.
But plays like this just showed the mentality they came into this game with, and I think Von even said it in his post game presser how. They were like, they were just like, no. This is a big game, and they need to be the difference makers. And many times they did, but they didn't always get the credit they deserved.
Yeah, he talked about how the D-line views themselves as the tip of the spear. And in this game, McDermott was like, oh, it's just another game. And Von literally was like, no, like, F that. Like, we know, like, how big of a game this is. And I think that's a really good call, too. Kansas City had a lot of success on the ground. They created displacement. They moved the ball. But where the Bills really won was those high leverage situations, especially against the pass, but this third and short against the run, like they showed up in high leverage moments and situations that kind of changed momentum or took it or kept it going for them. This was a huge statement play, especially at this point in the game. And just, getting it from the guys you need to get it from. Like Rousseau, I mean, Rousseau does this all the time, but seeing Ed do this and Daquan doing this is really nice. Yeah, great play on 3rd and 1, and then moving forward to a really nice piece next. Yeah, this is nuts.
This is the 4th down play, right? And so right now you see that there's an open gap right here. Now, I like the Chiefs fans in my mentions since this happened, and since I posted this play, they don't like to run a lot of QB sneaks with Mahomes. They don't. He doesn't run QB sneaks. So do I actually think they were going to run a QB sneak here? No, but I'm not putting it past them that they see an open gap here, a gap and a half, and Mahomes isn't just taking this right up the middle, especially with Creed Humphrey in front of him. So while they haven't run many QB sneaks over the last few years, of course it would happen versus the Bills.
Yeah, I was going to say it'll happen at some point.
It'll happen in the playoffs. I guarantee. If they see this
I can see that.
and Ed Oliver doesn't bump, I guarantee a QB sneak's coming. So while a QB sneak probably wasn't going to happen, I love how everything unfolds here, because you see Oliver have to get bumped inside by Bernard, and they realize, you know what? Calm down. He's backing away. Nothing's happening. Look at Bernard. Look at Dorian Williams. That's how hyped they were. That entire sequence started, again, with the Travis Kelce stop, again, getting up into his face in the press jam. Then the 3rd down stop by Rousseau and Oliver. And then this 4th down play where they don't end up snapping it, having to punt it. And it resonated on the field and off the field. And I'm sure throughout the entire stadium.
Yeah, this was awesome. And the sideline angle shows, like, as soon as Mahomes backs away right there, Rasul Douglas turns to the Kansas City sideline and is telling them, like, no, like, we know you're not running that. Like, he gets hype. Like, this was such a nice moment to see. And, like, look at, I got goosebumps. Like, look at Dorian just stepping right up.
Like, he's probably saying something like that, right?
Talk that talk. Like, let him know what's good. Like, you just shut him down on 3rd and 1. They're trying to get you on 4th, but they're not. Like, seeing the players play with this type of emotion, this type of atmosphere, playoff mentality, this type of stuff. And then you have Bernard highlighted there. Like, he's like a hella pumped. Like, as he walks over to the sideline, he's bouncing, he's feeling it. Hamlin was feeling it. Rap, like, this is nice to see that type of emotion and that type of success being generated and how they're playing. But they knew, like we just talked about with what Vaughn said, like, it is just one game, but they knew what was up in this one and they wanted it.
No doubt. So let's fast forward to towards the end of the 3rd quarter, 3rd and 14. So a 3rd and long situation. Bills are up 16-14. Another play with the Bills in dime. And this is a play where I feel like this is a broken play where they lost the awareness on Kelce, because they're in man coverage, but they're also in a too high shell. Vaughn is the only player out near Kelce, but obviously he's rushing. He's an edge rusher. And so I feel like they screwed up this coverage. And Cam Lewis, believe it, Cam Lewis is like, hey. He points to them. He's like, who's supposed to be on Kelce? So I don't know what happened here as coverage unfolds, but either way, watch Cam Lewis, who I have highlighted right there. Watch him drop down into that robber roll and immediately make a beeline for Kelce, who's just running just a chip release. So would he have gotten the 1st down? Maybe, maybe not. But this is one hell of a tackle on Kelce in the open field on a play I thought may have been botched when you're talking the coverage by the Bills.
You know, it's funny too, when watching it, like, at first on the broadcast, I thought this was by design to be like, oh, they're trying to like fool him into thinking that Kelce's wide open. And it actually kind of works out that way. But yeah, reading Cam Lewis and his body language, he 100% is like, hey, everyone, like, we've been keying in on Travis. Is anybody going to cover Travis? The ball is snapped. I guess I'll go get him.
You don't expect him to be a chip release guy on 3rd and long. You're expecting him to be out into a route, not playing a secondary route.
Absolutely. And so for him to do that is a bit out of character, and he kind of gets lost in the formation a little bit. And the end zone angle is great for this. Like, you literally see Cam Lewis look and see Kelce, and then he starts jumping and clapping. Like, he eyeballs him and then is trying to communicate and get someone's attention. The play is snapped. Everybody disperses with the route distribution. So Cam just goes and gets him right by the foot. Right by the ankle, picks that, and that's a really nice play in open field. Again, like, Kelce isn't the most fleetest of foot now, but if he breaks that, he's still slippery like we talked about. Maybe if they can get it to 4th and 4 or 4th and 3, maybe they go for it. Instead, you keep them in 4th and long after being here in 3rd and long, 3rd and 14. That's a good play by Cam. He had a couple nice ones in this game, especially in the 4th quarter. Yeah, he continues to just be this dude that it finds a way to like fill the gaps and play a role that isn't really tremendously heralded, but he just does his job when he comes in.
moving forward to the fourth quarter, 11:24 on the clock. Bills are up 23-14. First and 10 situation. And so Kelce is at the bottom of the screen in that tight bunch look. He's running an over route, and it's very similar to one of the plays early on in the game where you saw him to the top of the screen running that sail, but it's just coming from the bottom of the screen. And just, again, man, watch Bernard. Just watch our boy TB right here. Watch how he immediately is like, oh, okay, Kelce is going to be running that deep over. You're not getting it to him. And they want, again, this is similar route that we saw earlier. He immediately just takes him away, and Mahomes is flush out of the pocket. And Jordan Phillips does one hell of a job at forcing Mahomes into the boundary to throw that away.
Yeah, Phillips, initially his rush is like nothing. He's kind of just chilling at the line a little bit. Like, I don't think this is by design. He's just not getting pressure, but then
he's not a spy on this play?
No, I know, right? Like, he's not the aggressive spy. I wanted to say it gingerly because I didn't want someone to be like, oh, well, maybe he's spying. I'll be like, that's not happening with Jordan Phillips. But good. But again, like you said, good on him. Like, hustling down the line. He's able to impact Mahomes and make a play. It's nice to see him add that to the resume instead of just hyping up the crowd before every play. And here's Bernard. Kelce tries to sell this a little bit with a nice little move to the outside. Where Mahomes' eyes going, like you have highlighted there, it's going to the middle of the field. He's expecting to look and to see Kelce clearing or coming open into this window. And Bernard is like, no, I didn't get to play in the playoffs last year. I refuse to let you get anything on me. I'm taking you away. And then there's Rousseau over there on the left. What's also nice, too, is based on how the protection worked out, it's Juju and Noah Gray on Greg Rousseau.
Right here,
and there's Groot right there because they pull Joe Tooney to kind of sell that play action with the false pull there. Groot works through Juju and Gray.
Swims Tooney.
And then swims Tooney while they're still grabbing him. This was very much like a Godzilla type rep where like he would not be denied. He's the one who gets Mahomes off that spot. And then again, good on Phillips. I can't believe Mahomes couldn't break down Phillips in space and get past him. Like, but good for Phillips, I guess. But that's just such a bad look for Mahomes.
Great defense, man. Again, taking away options, in zone coverage. That's number one thing. Bernard helping take away Kelce. They weren't saving routes. They weren't saving plays. Terrel Bernard was a huge piece and reason why Kelce didn't go off in this game.
Eric, real quick, I wanted to just pull up this comment. Primetime Gamer said, can y'all do the offense too? Please, I can't get enough of this. One, glad you can't get enough of it. You love it. 2, we did a little bit on the offense to start. 3, Eric did a offline recorded video on Monday that went more in depth into the offense. So when we're done here, feel free to check that out on the Cover One channel so you can see a further deep dive into the offensive side of the ball.
Absolutely. No, I appreciate that plug. So we're moving on in the game here. 1:45 left. Bills are up 30-21 now, and it's a second and long situation. So, of course, the Bills are in dime. They have a spy, 3 down linemen. Dorian is a spy. Cam Lewis drops down as that dime backer, and the Bills are locking in man coverage on the backside. Douglas is in man coverage on Worthy. You see Cam Lewis on the running back, and then you got the spy. But again, where are the eyes? The eyes are on Travis Kelce. Taryn hinges to Kelce. Bernard does as well. As Kelce runs that over, guess who's running with him? Terrel Bernard. And there's a little pressure on Mahomes, so he gets out of the pocket. And watch Cam Lewis come down on the running back right here. He comes down on the running back, and then he anticipates where that ball is going to be thrown to back over the middle of the field. Instead of coming right here, as you'll see from the end zone angle, he works around this side towards the middle of the field and nearly gets an interception on this play. You said it, man. Cam had a great game when we're talking coverage, especially as that dime backer in this package, whether it was a 4-man defensive line front or a 3 with 2 backers. He did a great job in coverage.
Absolutely. And it was nice to see them again lead into this odd mirror package. All 6 plays on the final drive for Kansas City came with this package. Technically, it was only 5 because there was a penalty, but on that 6th penalized play, they ran this as well. And, various coverages on the back end. Here we're highlighting Cam, like you said. That's just a really good play, like to close down and then get hands, adjust, stay sticky, stay with your man, and then, go around him, like to try and make a play on the ball. I feel so bad for him. He looks so upset that he didn't pick it off. Like he easily could have. You're getting Dorian and Ed Oliver hustling to the ball, population of the football, like you like to say. Even Vaughn and Groot end up back there. And this, again, is another example of everything coming together, right? You have the focus on Travis Kelce, Let's take him away. Okay, cool. Let's look at the rest of the coverage flowing through. But again, here is the odd mirror piece, as you have highlighted again, Terran and Bernard initially had Kelce in between them. Now Kelce's starting to break over towards the middle. There goes Bernard on him. You've got Hamlin driving on Kelce as well. We've got the little hashes by Dorian Williams. He's the aggressive spy there again.
Yeah.
So that defensive line, all they're trying to do is break the pocket. You are trying to disrupt Mahomes, get him off of his spot. That's all you're trying to do. Doesn't matter if he evades to the left. It doesn't matter if he evades to the right. Great comment there from Ben, who says the Bills defense is playing as a team. That's what you're getting. Like, again, we talked about it earlier, the marriage of the coverage and pass rush in this game working out really well. But even just the odd mirror piece here, like
a power move by Von too.
Yes, driving through Jawan Taylor and knocking him back a little bit. We continue to see these really nice explosive flashes from Von, and that's a win because, again, you don't have to worry about rush lane integrity. Nope. You just want to get him off the spot. It doesn't matter if he goes left, if he goes right, get him off the spot. Then you highlighted Ed Oliver, who spin moves, beelines it down the line. Even if he's not doing that, Dorian is still in position with the aggressive spy. And then the only option for Mahomes is, I'm covered by 4 guys now. Let me chuck it. And Cam makes a great play on the ball. Like, these episodes that we're doing take so long because there's so many things to highlight individually, schematically. Yeah. That's what it is. Like, there's so many good elements, and they're doing it consistently. And I don't know, maybe arguably like still their best defensive player maybe comes back in a couple weeks. Like, it's pretty crazy.
Scary thought, man. And again, I want to see, I love linebackers, so I want to see Matty Moe. I want to see TB playing together. Here's his interception, 4th and 13. And the Chiefs tried doing something sneaky. Again, look at the communication, Bernard, Lewis, and the safeties, all getting on the same page. Kelce's to the top of the screen in that bunch set. And they try sneaking him down the field behind Bernard. But as we've always seen, and I will say, because we broke down Edmonds ad nauseum when he was there, I think this is what separates the two of these guys. The awareness of routes going in behind Bernard. It's way better with Bernard. So there's Kelce. You see him getting vertical, and he's trying to sell it like, hey, I'm going to go in front of you. Look, I'm going across the field. You can pass me on. As soon as he gets past Bernard, what happens? He bends it back, almost like a deep crossing mesh versus those single high type looks. You see him try to sneak behind Bernard right there. And Bernard, look at him turn his head, dude. Turn his head and find Kelce, and realizes that Kelce's breaking it off once again. And now he breaks on the ball for the interception. Incredibly heady play and an instinctual play from Bernard on this play to end this game by picking off Patrick Mahomes to finish it, to really seal the game here for the Bills.
And the timing could not have been better. Like, as Bernard turns to run up field, Mahomes throws it, and Bernard turns, and the ball is like immediately on his hands. And just even the ability to just reach out and pluck it. Like, the ball skills. Like, you see guys drop this all the time. And even if he drops it, okay, it's 4th and 13. Game's still over. Like, that's a great play by Bernard. And I would say let's highlight, some of the coverage pieces.
Dude.
Yeah.
Pass off. So again, 2 crossing routes. This is what it's made to look like. Look at the nonverbal communication between Bernard and Cam Lewis as these routes happen. So right now he's helping with Kelce. You see Cam Lewis helping with Kelce right here. But then he realizes that other crossing routes coming. So what does he do? He drops and takes that away and essentially passes Kelce on to Bernard. That's when Bernard, peeks back and reacquires Kelce down the field.
Yeah, and a good job there from Cam and Hamlin. There's no option there for the deep route. Rasul Douglas has his man covered towards the bottom of the screen. Like, there's just nowhere to go. And again, up front, we got another odd mirror presentation and package, 3 down defensive linemen. There's Dorian Williams as the aggressive spy, kind of waiting. This time, you don't really have anybody getting Mahomes off his spot. He kind of willingly goes out there, and Dorian just books it and closes. Yeah, smokes him a little bit. Like, he's loading up to try and take out Mahomes. That contributes to when Mahomes throws it and the trajectory he gets on it. He doesn't get this ball out in front of Kelce. Kelce has to kind of stop and wait for it. That also helps Bernard, who recognized it and took a good angle, be able to make a play on the ball. Again, everything kind of flowing, fitting together for the defense. Another nice piece and another nice aspect. It was nice to see kind of a turnover be the last play instead of just like a softer end to it. I think it was a bit of a more emphatic ending, and for a guy like Bernard to be the one to bring that in, who, again, just just an air traffic controller. And you mentioned it, and I tweeted it yesterday. It was really fun to watch Milano and Bernard play together last year. It was a brief glimpse, and we have to see what kind of Matt Milano comes back. I don't want to guarantee that he's going to be the all-pro that he was before he got hurt.
And I don't think they're going to throw him right in.
No, 100%. He's not just going to be like, hey, man, here's 100% of the snaps. There you go.
Going to ramp him up.
But I'm excited to see Matt Milano playing with this version of Terrel Bernard and the chaos they can create, the communication that they have, how smart they are, how well-versed they are in the defense, and their ability to trigger and shoot, what they can do in coverage, what they can do in coming forward. It's just really fun to kind of see the cylinders that the defense is hitting on. And there's no rest for him. Out of this bye week, you got to play San Francisco, who I know they're having a bit of a down year, but they're still the Niners. You got to face the Rams with McVay. You got to face the Lions, who are an absolute friggin' buzzsaw and will cut your throat in a heartbeat. It's going to be really exciting to kind of see what this defense does going forward.
And real quick, I like this comment by Anthony Perez. As much as McDermott may have loved Frazier, it seems like Bobby B has a much better understanding of how to mold the scheme around your personnel rather than the opposite. Beautiful to watch. I would agree with that for the most part. When we're talking this dime and spy, Dorian on the field versus Matt Milano, and we talked about how the Bills D tackles have kind of underwhelmed this year. That's why having this dime package is so cool, because you're taking that fourth D lineman, that D tackle off the field, instead of just throwing another D tackle or reserve D tackle on the field, and you're throwing Williams as a spy, first of all, as a spy with the 3 down linemen. You're keeping Bernard out in coverage. And then again, when they bring Milano back, maybe that's a package they can sprinkle him in, and not just with, instead of going to maybe 6 defensive backs, maybe they can do more of a 3-3-5 type look. You have some cool little wrinkles that Bobby B will have at his disposal as they ramp up Milano. Because again, I don't think they're just going to roll him out there, but I do love what Bobby Babich is doing. I don't think this defense, the philosophy is incredibly different than what Frazier did, but you see some immediate changes and adjustments, and he is working to his personnel, and he understands, hey, our D tackle and pass rush downs, they've been struggling, whether it's Daquan, whether it was Austin Johnson. We saw Jefferson flash a little bit. Obviously they went and picked up Phillips as well. The way they can pivot with some of their personnel to get Cam on the field, to keep Dorian on the field, but in a role that fits him even better.
Yeah.
Because he's not a cover guy, unless it's just like, hey, go cover that guy. And even at times he struggles there. To have him as an aggressive spy, it's almost a perfect role for him.
Absolutely. That's so well said. Like, it allows him to play to his strengths and his skill set. Hey, man, like, don't worry about this key and this read and getting this depth. You're going to line up here. You're pretty much going to stay there. And then as soon as the quarterback declares, see ball, get ball, and hunt. And on that dime piece, the Bills are one of 6 teams this year that have over 100 reps in dime. They are 6th, but they're behind the Chiefs, the Ravens, the Saints, the Chargers, and Vikings. All teams that really like to use multiple safety looks, 3, sometimes 4 safety looks. If you're, if you're the Chiefs with how they like to work in 4, but these are teams that lean into their skill sets in the DB room and have a bunch of weird bodies, with the Vikings, what they do with Harrison Smith and Metellus and Bynum, the Chargers now with James and Gilman, and then Molden is now at safety for them, the Ravens with Hamilton and their safeties and all that. Like, it's just a good example, like you said, of and from Anthony as well, Perez there in the comments, of Babich, like, just turning the dial up, leaning into it. We saw it last year. Oh, hey, Milano's down. Hey, Jordan Poyer, you're the dime linebacker on 3rd down. And they've just continued that this year. And it's nice to know that that's another option they have in the bag. They're not limited. They have multiplicity. They have some variability with their skill sets, and with Babich kind of commanding it. It's been really nice to see, considering the opponents they played against and the injuries that they've had on that side of the ball.
And more importantly, they don't go overboard with it. They're not like the Cowboys that are trying to defend the run with dime and having Bell.
It's situational. They know when to push that button.
And it comes back to preparation, game planning, communication between the players, the staff, and you saw it on the field, man. One hell of a game plan by the Bills defense and defensive staff. Great execution on the field. I know this went a little long, but it was well worth it, because there was so many good plays and nuggets and just football stuff, just nerd stuff that we love and to talk about in the film room, but also bring it to light for you guys so that you can understand to help your Sunday viewing when you're watching the games.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's what we're here for. It's the goal of the show and the goal of the content that we provide. And it's nice to be able to do it here because there's only so many characters on Twitter for you to be able to type and break it down. And it's hard to try and get everything into a comment that's attached. Like because there's just so many good things going on. It's not as simple as just like, man, look at this rush by Ed Oliver, like crazy. It's like, no, there's like 5 different guys doing something cool and important that's tied into the larger. Yeah, it's like you have so much that you need to break down. And to be able to do that, we really hope you folks got a really good understanding and appreciation of what the Bills did on that side of the ball and a little bit on the offense. And again, if you want further deep diving into the offense, Eric's got that video up that he put on Monday of this same week. So feel free to tap into that as well. Just a really encouraging performance from this team who now sits a half game back of the Chiefs for the 1 seed in the AFC, but obviously owning that tiebreaker in terms of the head-to-head advantage. Schedule ramps up after the bye. Niners and Lions and Rams, but you do have the Patriots twice. No jinx. Yeah. I don't want to put that out there and be like, it's going to be a walk in the park. Yep. You got the Jets as well. So we'll see what this team can continue to be. But regardless, it's been a really fun and exciting season. And Eric, as the Bills go into the bye and we start to wrap up this episode, is there anything you want them to focus on? We know bye weeks are, used for self-scouting and course correction. You'll see teams pivot and do some different things. Do you just want general health? Is that what you're looking for? Is there anything you want them to tweak on schematically on one side of the ball or the other, or get a certain player involved in more? What are you kind of looking forward towards as we go into the bye and then come out of it for this team?
Yeah, I wish I had that answer. I'm going to go ahead and scale it back and take a look at some things to do that self-scouting angle and see what the Bills can improve on. So that'd be interesting over the next week or so to kind of dive into some of the film and stats to see areas that they can improve and maybe how, for the long run of the season towards the end of the year in this last quarter, what they can do to improve on, because obviously as each week goes by, more and more film comes out and teams are going to have more film to study you on and to shut things down. So while some of these things may have worked in this game, and we're talking offense or defense, they may get slowed down later. So there's got to be a layer or a counterpunch built in coming out of this bye week, because even when you win, there are some things you can still work on. And even though the Bills are 9-2 right now, there are still a lot of things they can work on. So I'm ready to dive into that self-scout, but also, take a breather for a couple of days before I do that.
I'll say, come up for air and breathe a little bit. I'm in the same spot. I'm excited to kind of take a step back and be able to dive into things fully. I have a couple of specific areas, really a lot of run fits and some run defense stuff, but my big one, not to kind of cop out here, is the health. What is Keon Coleman looking like? What is Dalton Kincaid looking like? Matt Milano, Spencer Brown, Amari Cooper start to, heal a little bit here. Aaron throwing out the shout. Yeah, Aaron and Greg will be live at 9:00 tonight. So a couple hours from now. It's weird to say that because we're live again right now with the show. I'm still not in the rhythm of that. Yeah, I'm just excited to see this team start to get a little healthier, hopefully on both sides of the ball at some key spots. And it's, the old adage is usually the best teams at the end of the year are the healthiest teams at the end of the year, and they're starting to potentially maybe trend in that direction. So hopefully they can start to do that. Eric, any parting words for the people before we say goodbye?
No, we appreciate everyone showing up live here last minute with us. Hope you enjoyed that breakdown. I know it was a little lengthy, but there was too much that I just didn't want to leave out anything. So I put all the film I could in there to eat up this hour and a half. And we appreciate everyone joining us live. All the comments, all the love. Smash that like button, leave us a comment. Let us know what you want us to break down. If there's something that specific wise, like topic wise, that you want us to break down in this bye week, let us know. We can formulate a show based around it come next week. But once again, thank you guys. As Aaron says here, we're an independent company, grassroots company. Every little way that you can help us, whether it's just a like or a comment, it goes a long way to help. As Anthony always says, to track and trend on social media, on YouTube, and honestly, we're in audio form. I know it's difficult with this type of format to listen to it, but you can still pick apart pieces from the audio segment if you're on your way to work or you're at work, you don't feel like doing work. Pop us on audio, video. It's all right. You're gonna keep your job. You're gonna get a lot more knowledge from the shoulders up when it comes to football from listening to Film Room each and every week. So I appreciate all the support.
That's right. I like this comment from James who said, "Let's sugar the gap." That well done, James. I like that. Yeah, this was a fun one. It was nice to dive into so many pieces with the schematic episodes always take the longest to tie everything together and put that picture together. So we hope you folks enjoyed this. Like Eric said, thank you to everyone who joined us live on this episode. No, it was a bit of a last minute live piece. That was my fault. My day went sideways. So thank you to everyone for joining us. Thank you to Eric for adjusting schedules so we could do this. Appreciate you. Thank you very much to Gage and to Sarah for your super chats. That was awesome, and we greatly appreciate it. Thank you very much for that. And like always, we appreciate you folks. Whatever form or fashion your support comes in, we greatly appreciate it. Like Eric said, drop a like on this video. If you're here on YouTube, it goes a long way towards helping us to track and trend in front of more eyes and ears. Turn on notifications for the Cover One Film Room playlist. Subscribe to the Cover One channel. We have you covered every single day of the week for the most part with various levels of Buffalo Bills and football content. If you are listening on the podcasting apps or platforms, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, whatever have you, please rate and review and subscribe there. Tell your family and friends and loved ones, and whether they're Bills fans or just enjoy football, about the show, about the brand, about the channel. We greatly appreciate it. Again, whatever form or fashion your support comes in, it means a lot to us, given, where Eric started this brand and where it's gone. Any and every ounce of support means a lot to us, and we greatly appreciate you folks. For myself, Anthony Prohaska, for Eric Turner, that'll do it for us here in this episode of The Film Room. We hope you and your family and friends and loved ones are all doing well and staying safe. Be kind to one another. Take care of one another. We'll see you next week for another episode of the Cover One Film Room. But until then, Godspeed. And as always, go Bills.